Hey guys, this video is pretty overdue because I've been getting a lot of requests for tutorials on how I make my edits. So, you know, I wanted to inform those with the curiosity about how I do that. So I'm just gonna, jump straight into it. First, you gotta get the music choice down. All right. So I usually go with lo-fi because that's my jam. It's got a pretty. You wanna make sure that you get a song with a pretty defined beat. But today I'm feeling a little BB no money, you know what I mean? So let's I'm gonna drag this in. I'm gonna make a new comp. Oh yeah, sorry, hold on. Terrible role model right here. You gotta make sure composition name poopy LMAO, and then let's see. You wanna do your edits in 30 FPS and 1920 by 1080. Just a typical HD. You don't want to do 60 FPS because it's just an edit. Like it's not worth going to 60. So also I would recommend changing this to half because when you're putting in a lot of the effects on, it's not gonna render very quickly if it's on full. But I'll keep it on full for now and we'll change it later. Alright, so I'm gonna put this in. I'm using After Effects, by the way. You can use any composition or any editing software, but I like to do my edits in After Effects because I don't know. I haven't really tried any other like intensive editing softwares other than After Effects and Premiere and Final Cut Pro. So obviously you can still follow along no matter what you're using. All right, so let's hear this cheese. All right. Let's see what we got.
Bro, I swear I'm going on like fuck shit. This shit's so long, baby. Is that my voice?
Alright, bet. So for me, I like to make the audio. This is just what I've done for like the entire time of my editing. I changed my audio things to green. Like that's just how I've ingrained it in my mind. Like if it's green, it's audio. So you can just click this and make it green. And then I'm gonna click LL to whip up the audio waveform. It just makes it super easy to see where the beat's at. So let's see. So you could tell like where the song like basically kicks off is right. So that's the bass, and you can see this clearly goes up here. So I'm gonna mark that. You can drag your markers from here and here, but you could also just do Shift 1. But you're gonna run out of Shift numbers until you get past 9. So don't do that when you're past 9. You just gotta take it from here and boo bop. All right, so it's the beat here. I'm just gonna mark this. This is just a manual process, you gotta make sure the beats are solidified because you want to edit to these markers. So make sure you don't fuck these up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just important. Alright, cool. I'm not gonna do a lot of beats because it's just a tutorial. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it at 7 markers. So we'll chill at that. Alright. We're gonna have to trim this comp down. We're gonna keep it at like 20 seconds for now because we're not doing anything crazy. It's just a tutorial. But for most of my edits, I have these. If it's like a lo-fi with dialogue, I'll usually mark the dialogue with the sound, and then once the beat really kicks into the song, I'll start the edit. But before that beat starts, you can either make an intro or just start the song right where the beat happens. So we're not gonna worry about that. We're just gonna, I'm just for tutorial purposes, I'm gonna start right on the beat just so it's easier. Alright, good. You're gonna want to make sure that you save this, by the way. I'll call this tutorial poopy, usual. Because my After Effects might crash. Because, sometimes shit happens and it crashes. Just like me on the So we have this marked up and then we're good. So we have our composition. Do I have it right? Yeah, good. Alright, cool. Dope. Let's put in our clips. I just have a couple random clips. There's a lot of, if you want to just like make an edit or just, work on some random ones, there's like a lot of sources out there. Anyways, I have my clips here. Let's see what they are and what order we want. Alright, so let's just put these in. Alright, cool. We want to trim this so that between 1 and 2, we want this cinematic to be done. So we want to figure out where it's going to start and where it's going to end. So I'm going to say we'll start cinematic here. Control Shift D to split that, and then cut the bottom one. Delete that. bottom one, and then so we'll end. What's a good ending spot for this clip? Damn, it's a long ass clip. God damn. Holy. Yo, that's longer than. Alright, so you're gonna cut that to where you want it to end, and then here's the main pattern here is clicking time remapping after right clicking time and then time remapping. And you can basically say, a lot of people probably know this. If you're watching this, you probably know how this works, but I'm just going to briefly explain it. So you can set keyframes throughout this entire clip, and it won't do anything. It's not, you can make a keyframe wherever you want. It's not going to change anything until you drag them to certain spots. So this is a point in time, this is a point in time. If I make these 2 points in time have more space, they'll drag out the time. So if I open up the graph editor, for example, and I have these keyframes selected, and I'm moving this right keyframe out, it's going to increase the time and slow this clip down. So I'm going to make a keyframe, which doesn't do anything to the speed yet because I haven't adjusted where it's going. I'm going to drag this keyframe closer to the first one. So now the clip is shorter. You're going to see the speed is much faster on the clip. So I'm going to drag this keyframe all the way to 2, which is wild. I just completely outplayed this clip. Now this clip is much shorter and I have 2 keyframes, and you probably know how easy easing works. These keyframes have a linear relationship, which means that if you open up the graph by clicking on them and then clicking on the graph, they just go from point 1 to point 2. Nothing crazy, just a linear, typical thing. Now if we want to change that, thing about having a good montage is that, or like an edit, is that it goes fast to slow and it looks really smooth. So in order to make that effect happen, you gotta ease that. You can do that by clicking F9. And then I want to open up the value graph. So the steeper I make the graph, the faster it'll be during those steep moments. I want the slow part in the middle, so I'm just going to make the graph look something like this. It's like a really drunk backward S, you know. So basically that kind of pattern, but you don't want to just be like, you know, okay, cool, this one's high, this one's low, cool, nice, we're done. Like, it's you want to make sure that you want it to look nice. It doesn't have to be like perfectly right angle right here. Like, you can, it doesn't, it's just you gotta mess with it. So let's see what we got when we do that. Okay, so this looks a little choppy because we condensed like a 25-second clip into a little over a second, which is a little whack. So we're gonna make this the new endpoint. We're gonna make this the new starting point right here, I would say, and we're gonna drag those to the new starts and ends. So I've replaced those ending and starting keyframes with not as spaced out keyframes, but that's gonna fuck up the graph. So we want to go back into the graph. I'm actually gonna reset them by re-highlighting them and clicking F9. So now they're eased again. We can redo this with our new starting and end points. Let me just make that, and then kablamo, you're good. See how much smoother that is? Before I go on to the next clip, this is what I'm going to be doing for every clip. I want to make sure that it looks clean. So I want to get my color stuff out. So for my color correction, I use the Magic Bullet Suite. Magic Bullet Suite, it's pretty crazy. It's like more colorful than my 64 pack of Crayola. I highly recommend you check that out. You can at least get a free trial, I think. I was able to get it for $200, even though it goes for, I think, like $1,000 for the entire suite. I basically had a student account and it was on a 50% off sale, so I was like, yo, that's a cop. You could definitely free trial it, or if you know you don't have like any soul or anything, you could probably find a way to get it illegally. But I'm gonna highlight this clip, go into Magic Bullet Suite, and I'm gonna put on like almost every one of these. I'm gonna start with Colorista. You can have a guided color correction with this. So, you know, I'm just gonna put that out there. You can just, you know, I don't know. You can do this. It's a video. I'm gonna go through that really quickly. Alright, cool. So I went through the main key points of color correction and we turned it into this. Now next we have, I'm gonna put on a little bit of film. I usually don't have this at 100% strength because, you know, it totally changes the clip. But it gives like a nice grain, and it's very subtle, but I like to have it on a little bit of strength. And then I'm gonna do, this is the main one, is looks. This is what really changes the RGB values to your best interest and what you want it to look like. The one that's gonna be best is gonna probably stand out to you. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this one. There's a lot of, you have so much freedom about how you want your overall look to be, but the main thing is that you're consistent. This is what you're usually gonna follow, so this is important stuff. So we're gonna keep going and go to Mojo is the last one that we're gonna do. You want to make sure you're changing these to video, because when you're editing Fortnite, you're not using like an actual like red camera or some shit. So you can see that this is the new color scheme that we went for, and it looks a lot better. In my opinion, it's a little dark, and the shadows and the black levels are a little too high. So I'm gonna change that a little bit. Here's the basic structure when you're making an edit. You mark the beats, put in the clips to those markers, you time remap the clips, and then you color correct each of those clips, and you're done. I'll just make transitions and effects to really make the edit stand out. A lot of people use Twixtor Pro to time remap, but I prefer to just do it with an After Effects. It's easier, and I think it looks just as great. So now for the next beat, we're going to take out our next clip, and you know, you want to make sure that your clips have context. Right now I'm just doing a tutorial. You want to make sure they tie into each other. So I have my next clip here, and I'm going to start it out. I already have this cut to where I want it to start. Now I'm going to put on time remapping. I'm going to put on a keyframe for where I want it to start. Go to the beginning, zoom out, put this wait, hold on. I want it to end right here. So I'm going to put a keyframe there, cut it, and then drag this keyframe close to the other one, and we're good. Now we just want these to line up with the markers, and cut that, and we're good. And then easy use those keyframes. Take out the graph editor, and kablamo. The little adjustment there, we'll probably have to mess with that more, but as we put in these clips, you'll see that you might have like opportunities to make some dope ass transitions or something. For example, this shit's dope, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm kind of making this tutorial right now, and I'm like, this is kind of fucking lit. Look at this. It opens up to a circle perfectly. It's like asking you to make this circle lead into another clip. I'm gonna color correct this clip as well. If you're copying and pasting effects, that's by and large like a terrible thing to do. But when it comes to editing things like this, it's actually okay, because you have to, every clip is different. So you need to put these same effects on each clip and then fuck with them after that. So what I usually do is copy the effects on my main color correction effects, copy these, put them on my next clip, and then go effect by effect. So I'm going to have only looks. I'm going to make sure that I have the look that I want. So now that I have that, I'm going to lower the strength a little, and then put on the rest of the effects, and then like change them a little bit from there. And the colorista is different for every clip, as you can see. So I actually would go back into this guided color correction and redo it for this clip, but honestly I don't always do that because that's like kind of time consuming, so I'm just gonna fucking delete that. So this time remapping is a little off. So I want to go back into the graph here and change it a little. Alright, cool. So now we can go back to our next clip and do that. So enable time remapping, set up a keyframe there. Zoom out so I can see the ending keyframes. And I'm going to end it right here. So I put that keyframe, condense this into this amount of time, and delete it where the keyframes, where the last keyframe is. And then I easy ease that with F9. Go into the graph, make a basic weird ass real quick, and then I'll just fuck with that later. So let's see. See, that looks like asshole, right? So I gotta change this duration, or I'm gonna decrease the amount of time between these two keyframes so that it's slower, because it was way too fast. But now that the graph's all fucked up, so I gotta reset the easy ease, go back into the graph. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? This is too short. You wanna make sure that you're not, like these markers are here, but that doesn't mean you have to, like, it's not the end of the world if you don't. If you skip a marker to make a clip longer. If a clip's too short, you gotta give the audience like a second to actually like comprehend what they're actually looking at. So I'm gonna go back into this graph, and now it's all wonky because I changed the duration. So now that the clip is longer and I haven't utilized this beat, I can actually add another time remap keyframe, and that's not going to change anything until I go into the graph. And now I have the same clip with 3 remap frames. So when it gets to this frame, it's going to go slow then fast when it gets to that frame. And then I don't really like how that looks, not gonna lie, so I'm gonna delete that. It's a lot of trial and error. You're never gonna get shit 100% perfect when you're doing it, when you're editing it. So it's just the way it is. It would be weird if you could, you know, anticipate what is gonna work and what's not. You just gotta mess around with it. So it's a lot of trying and deleting. I have a lot of animation presets. So I'm gonna click apply. So if you know who Cuddy Edits is, I'm gonna type him in the file name right here. This guy has a lot of resources for editors as well, right here, Cuddy Edits. And so he's a 300 editing subscriber pack, so I'm just gonna go into this. You can download this through his YouTube, and so we're gonna go into it and see what kind of color effects he has, because I want to do something with this frame, so I need to do something. But I'm being dumb because I haven't actually added an adjustment layer. So I'm gonna make a new adjustment layer. You have to make sure that you're making the adjustment layer right over the only clip that you want this to happen on. So I'm gonna put an animation preset on top of that clip. So let's do a color effect, and you just mess around with this. It's gonna put in this into your effect control panel. So it looks kind of weird, obviously, but the beautiful thing is that you have control over these keyframes, and we're gonna do something with that. Oh, I see. So you want to go into the speed graph for this. The only time I ever go into I'm gonna reset the easy ease on these. The only time I really mess around with a value graph is when I'm messing with time. It's easier to work with a speed graph where you just say, oh, I want it to go fast and slow. And again, I might delete this. I'm just gonna see how it works, because you gotta see how it looks. You can't just, so it looks weird too. So I'm gonna delete it, and I'm gonna try a different preset. Again, we want it on the beat. So look how this is showing the black. That's because we're changing the clip and we don't have anything behind the clip to cover up. So I'm actually gonna put motion tile. If you look up motion tile, basically mirrors those edges for you. So now that black part has gone away, because that's just empty space. See how much better that looks? It also, this preset has a hue change on it, so I can just fuck with that however I want. So that's the basic gist of like how I go about editing, and then basically from here I just add effects. So I would probably mask out this circle. So I'm gonna click Q twice to take out my circle mask, but I'm gonna duplicate this clip so I can still see it. And I'm gonna, on the top clip, I'm gonna take out this circle. Alright, cool. So I finished masking out this. So if I solo this, you're gonna see, I'm actually gonna invert the mask because I want this to not be part of it. I'm gonna feather it a little to get rid of the edges. Click this to get rid of the mask. I have the Skull Trooper under. I still have this problem where the hue isn't there when it's in the mask. So I'm just gonna copy this hue, put it here on this clip. I can actually just delete. That's what I meant to do. There we go. Cool. It's randomly just cutting into this. We gotta make some sort of scale. Sapphire is a really good plugin. It's really expensive though, but there are ways to get it for free. I did that. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's like $3,000 software. Like, this is Sapphire. It's a very common plugin, but a lot of editors have it. So if you don't have it, I would highly recommend checking it out. You can get it for free. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you can. So, anyways, use this. I'm gonna whip up distort. I'm gonna put in a distort blur, and basically just maneuver my way through this transition. So I'm gonna put in blur mode curves on this guy. We get the second effect right under motion tile, and this is gonna be the Z distance. And then you can see that if I decrease this or increase this, it's gonna make him farther away. Cool. So we've gone over transitions, and now we just want to cover the last main effect that you want to have on all your clips. And that's shake. Camera shake is awesome. I like to go with like 0.2 to 0.4 amplitude and like between 1 and 2 frequency. That's what I just mess around with that, and you want to make sure you have motion blur on. I hope that helped. I don't know if I went too into detail or too out of detail, so please let me know if you want more of these, or if you were bored out of your mind and you could not contain yourself so you had to click away from the video. Totally understand, but welcome to give any feedback in the comment section, and drop a like if you enjoyed. Even if you don't, I still love you. I appreciate it because it helps me, and you know, I like to provide content that you might enjoy. So thank you for watching. I hope I could be some sort of help, and peace.
I'm yours.